Hi everyone, my name is Matt Marcus. This is my presentation on the court case Marbury versus Madison. It is considered a landmark court case in the history of our nation. As we examine the case, there are two stories that are being told. The first is the story of a man pursuing his rights to a job, and the second story is one of politics and power between executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. The situation that led to the court case took place during the period of time following the election of 1800. Thomas Jefferson was the recently elected president, however, he would not take office until March 4th of the following year. John Adams, the outgoing president, was a member of the Federalist Party. Before he left office, he wanted to appoint several circuit court justices and justices of the peace, presumably because they would have a political leaning similar to his own. The third man in the story, John Marshall, was the acting Secretary of State under Adams. It was his responsibility to distribute what were called commissions, which were formal pieces of paperwork indicating that an individual had been granted a position. The problem that happened was that one individual, William Marbury, did not receive his commission in time. Thomas Jefferson, the newly elected president, saw political opportunity and withheld Marbury's commission. Because Marbury had not received his commission, he could not assume his role as appointed judge. Marbury brought his case to the Supreme Court, and the case presented three main questions. Was William Marbury entitled to his appointed job? Was Marbury correct in taking his grievance to the court? And can the court order Marbury his job? In an interesting twist, the Chief of Justice for this case was none other than John Marshall, who had been given the responsibility under Adams to distribute the commissions in the first place. Chief Justice Marshall delivered the court's opinion Marbury was entitled to receive his commission as judge, and when he did not receive it, he had a right to bring the matter to court. However, regarding whether the court itself had the authority to order the current Secretary of State, James Madison, to deliver Marbury's commission, Justice Marshall stated he did not. Marbury had petitioned the court to issue what was called a mandamus, which in essence was a court order to deliver Marbury's commission to him. His claim was that this opinion was afforded to him under Section 13 of Judicial Act 1789. Marshall determined that it was, in fact, unconstitutional for the court to act on this provision. In the short term, this decision was bad news for Marbury, as he would not be appointed as judge. However, this was a revolutionary decision in the view of the power of the Supreme Court. In making his decision, Chief Justice Marshall had set a precedent that the court could rule that an existing law was unconstitutional. The reason Marbury versus Madison is considered to be a landmark case is that it establishes policy of judicial review. The court would act as a government body that would renew laws in terms of constitutionality. When considering acts of Congress versus the U.S. Constitution, the Supreme Court will always favor the Constitution as the highest law of the land. The power of judicial review that was established by Marbury versus Madison has been demonstrated time and time again in recent years. Court cases involving civil rights, women's rights, affirmative action, abortion, marriage, Miranda rights, and reasonable seizure are just a few issues that have been addressed in the Supreme Court. Decisions rendered by the court in these cases have been incredibly instrumental in defining the shape of American society.